It's Wednesday, April 30th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. The 2025 Canada Summer Games are 100 days away. The final push is on, folks. What's left to do? What's the ramp up to the games going to look like? What can we expect during the games? We've got the answers for you. Well, if you're listening to the news just then, my great colleague Jeremy Eaton was taking the wind out of my sails for this show. Maybe we could just go on home out of it. I'm kidding. Karen Sherriffs, CEO of the 2025 Canada Games. Karl Smith, co-chair. How you both doing?
Great.
Doing fantastic, Adam. Thanks for having us today, by the way.
So, Karl, I need more, I know you gave Jeremy interest, but I need better ones from you for the show.
I'll see what I can do.
No competition, but here we go. It's 100 days and counting. Oh, my gosh. How did we get here? Like, how? How are you both feeling, like, with 100 days left? What, like, you mentioned the excitement just then, but, like, what are you thinking about today?
Getting psyched.
Getting psyched.
Yeah, today's a big milestone, no question about it. And I probably feel a bit different than Karen does. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's got the reins every day, so she's got a lot of things happening and coming together at the same time. I get to ride on her coattails and just exclaim my enthusiasm and confidence. And there's lots of both.
Yeah. All right. Karen.
Yeah, just you said it. It is a lot of excitement. It's been a journey since 2020. The opportunity to actually bid on the games and to put together our board, incorporate our host society, and we started as a team of one, and we have 75 staff and 400 very active planning volunteers right now. So, just so excited to welcome everybody to see all the great work everyone is doing.
Awesome.
So it's only 5 years? Seems like 5 decades.
From when I remember when we were first covering the announcement, it does seem like forever ago, and now we're here. Like now it's just the last bit of the runway, right? The plane's kind of landed, and we're just going to taxi down, and everyone gets off and celebrates.
Absolutely.
Folks, as you listen to today's show, if you've got questions for my guests about the upcoming Canada Games or a memory of past ones, if you're involved, get in touch with us. 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206, the signal at cbc.ca. So, the lines are open, full show, and we will just chat away because there's a lot to cover here. How many new venues were built or have been built?
Well, we have 25 different capital projects. We'll be hosting 19 different sports. So, new builds. Right behind you here is the new Fortis Canada Games complex.
I've noticed, yeah.
Yes.
And to see that kind of pop up, I think one day I was coming to work, I'm like, oh, that's like all there now.
Yes.
Which is, it is so cool. I haven't gone up and run on it yet, so I need to go do that later.
It's a state of the art, the opportunity to be able to host, not only the Canada Games, but for future training opportunities indoor. Really, really proud. A huge legacy piece for the games. Paradise has new beach volleyball venue. 2 courts are built, and we'll have a temporary court for games time that'll really showcase a big grandstand of audience and DJ place. That is part of the beach volleyball venue, which is amazing. Gives a great spirit to that. Mountain bike. Karl has rode these trails many times, but significant work up at Three Pond Barrens, and a story I think really proud of. The contractor hired some athletes to even help with that process. There's a large number of volunteers up there doing significant work to the trail and to make it games ready, and it's really come along really nicely.
Nice.
And there's a new bubble, bigger and better bubble.
Bigger and better bubble.
Yep.
Go on. Tell more.
The new tennis facility down at Greenbelt, and give that group a lot of credit. I mean, they raised a lot of money themselves. The Canada Games was the stimulant, so to speak, to get them engaged and get them set up to build a new facility for themselves, which should last another 25, 30 years.
If I close my eyes, which I'm doing, and we can both see that I'm doing it, what is this place going to look like? What's the ramp up that we can expect for the transformation that is happening? Because like right now, with the exception of like I think a couple of buses, and if you see like if you work here or you're driving by here and you see some of the new stuff that's been built, what's the transformation that will take place that for people to really know the games are here or coming?
I think there's a transformation in terms of signage and pageantry that's going to come out, and it's going to start soon. A little bit started at Munn actually yesterday, and but places as you're driving around the city, you are going to see a lot of signage. Every venue really gets transformed into a complete new look and feel of the Canada Games, the 2025 Canada Games, and I think that's going to really start to feel. You're right. I think at the buses that are currently wrapped, I feel like I see one every single day.
Yeah.
And that's just a small example of that. But, that transformation is going to be really something to see. I don't think people really know what's about to hit in terms of what the city will transform and look like.
Yeah, because it's going to look like a city that's going to be hosting folks from across the country, right?
Yeah.
From all the athletes and the coaches, plus all the volunteers. And the number I have for it's like 20,000 pieces of signage. 20,000. That's what Elizabeth Priest sent to me, and I'm who works with Canada Games.
Yes.
I can start to kind of picture like, okay, 20,000 pieces of signage. That's not a small number.
Not a small number. You should see the plans for every single venue. I've been to 25 will be my 10th Canada Games. I've seen it. I'm still amazed by how this will really transform. All the signage plans are in. Signage will start arriving soon. Our warehouse will turn into venue-specific areas. And, you'll start, again, like it's a gradual process and really that wow for games time that you'll see the signage. But it's an awful lot of signage that will be everywhere.
Cool.
And then, of course, once the games start and the athletes arrive, this city is going to be on wheels. And here at your studios at CBC, you'll have a front row seat because the Athletes Village is just across the street. And this part of the city is just going to be overrun in a good way.
Yeah.
With athletes, coaches, parents, games. There's going to be a lot of activity in this part of the city. People are going to be so impressed with how the city looks during the games.
What's happening this afternoon? How much
Big
can
day.
we? Because I know
Big
there's
day.
stuff happening. I don't know what we can say. Just there's stuff happening this afternoon that we can't quite talk about, but we can just say that for folks to, I guess, be ready for announcements in the news later today.
Absolutely. Later on today. This is a big week, as you mentioned, 100 days. But today we get to unveil some
Stuff.
that the athletes really are aiming for.
Yeah.
And that's the medals that they'll take away from these games. And we've seen a lot of medals, and they're all really impressive. But I think the people of St. John's and Newfoundland are going to be really, really impressed with what they see today, later on today. Our medals are very representative of who we are and what we are and where we are. And it's going to be a really, really good day.
And so, folks, here and now tonight. Also, I know there's a couple of interviews going to be on the go with Chrissy Holmes later today. So, if I know we're being a little vague because there's some stuff we can't talk about, but do listen and do watch and check cbc.ca/NL online later today for all of this great stuff. Because what I find interesting about the lead up to the games, even so, like a year out, we did a show all together, and now here we are at 100 days, and it's on. It's like you're turning up the temperature. Bits are coming out. You're understanding a bit more. You're getting more of a fulsome picture. Right, as we march towards things and like you said, 5,000 athletes, managers, and coaches.
Yeah.
What logistically? How does one get ready for that? Because that's not a small thing to bring into somewhere. 5,000 folks all attached.
Not at all. That's why you form an amazing team, a supportive board of directors, lead key volunteers in our community. I mean, that's how you do it. Canada Games Council has a footprint that we follow, but every host community is very unique to how it delivers and executes a game. So there's a lot of moving pieces. There's 40 different functional areas that our staff teams are working on and are all very different in itself, but all intertwined into making this games very successful.
That's why Karen won't sleep for the next 100 days.
You just, when you're speaking to people and you talk about, the transportation logistics in itself, feeding 700 athletes, coaches, and managers an hour throughout the course of 18 days. Turnaround day, 2,500 will leave and 2,500 will come in on the same 24-hour clock. And it's preparation, the medical component of things, our marketing, branding, and revenue generation, a massive piece of the puzzle here as well.
So for chefs, right, for like that hourly feeding schedule for everyone, there are chefs coming in from each of the how does that work?
So they're not actually cooking chefs. They're called chef de missions. They oversee each provincial territorial contingent. So they're coming here for Mission 2 conference now in a few weeks, and they work with us as a host to ensure we're ready to host their athletes. So everything from
they kick the tires for the food, the heads and beds, and all that stuff. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. They are the key people who really look out for the best interests of their athletes and contingent coming.
You've been chef de mission before, right?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one was that for?
I was 2019 Canada Games.
Canada Games.
Yeah.
So then for you to go, what was that like for you going to that one?
Well, that I'd been assistant chef and part of mission staff for Team Newfoundland and Labrador. So, great progression there. And it's amazing. You really are going there to make sure Team Newfoundland and Labrador athletes and coaches are well prepared, know what to expect when they get there, and give them the best experience. We're acting as that liaison between our contingent and the host to make sure they get the best experience that they possibly can, and everything that they thought this would be, it truly is. So they're the support in every day from morning to night.
So then what, as you walk through, what with your, it was a checklist, what were you kind of okay, what did you actually look at?
Yeah, we'd be looking at everything from, accommodations, okay, where they're all sleeping, assigning people, security at the village and at venues, how was that looking, food, sports schedules, if there's a change of a schedule, was there food, a change in the food when they were supposed to eat, that sort of thing, transportation pieces of it, preparing the team clothing-wise, moving them about, getting them, not just to their sport venues, but working with the host to ensure that they get to enjoy the artistic and festival program that every games have. So really every single day, there could be injuries, medical things that are occurring. So the chefs are somebody out of play, is somebody sick, is there something occurring, that sort of thing. So many logistics, very long days.
Yeah.
It's a big job. It's where the buck stops when it comes to the games.
Well, because whenever I think of things like games, I think of the stories of the athletes and the medals and just watching them compete and all of that stuff. But then to have the conversation around planning, and you're like, oh wait, that the logistic you need, it's the amount of planning involved sounds bonkers, right? It just sounds like so much.
Yeah.
Every small change, if we won't have a weather delay because it's going to be excellent weather for August 8th to 25th ordered. But should we have any delay, that impacts transportation schedules, food schedules, many things like results coming in, expected results, updating the website, that sort of thing. So it's, that's one small change in a very, very large schedule of 19 sports.
It's an excellent point you make, Adam. The athletes are the stars of the show, and they should be.
Yeah.
But there's so many unsung heroes that make that happen, and the chef is right at the front of the line when it comes to that, you know. But all the volunteers and all the committee chairs, and you were speaking with Tom in a little bit, the role that he plays in these games. Most people will not be aware of it, and that's the way it should be and the way he wants it to be, but it is so critical.
Yeah.
Well, and to think all of that is this big effort for the welcome, right? So folks come here, and from whether it's the French English interpretation to the meals being prepared, folks driving the buses, right, washing the bed linen, you name it.
Yeah.
All of that requires people power.
A lot.
Right. Well, with that, we've got Tom Godden on the line. Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Good. So 2025 Game Services Committee Chair, lead of Volunteer Planning Committee. How's it looking for volunteers for the games? How many more do we need?
Volunteer recruitment is going according to schedule. We're up to, I think, Karen, we were talking last night, I think 4,000 have been recruited so far. We've got another 1,000 to go, but we have no doubt that we will fulfill that and maybe then some as well. So we're in good shape.
4,000 folks recruited so far. What kind of effort did it take to get 4,000 people and get everyone signed up?
Well, lots of social media and lots of conversation, and you tell that person and the other person tells that person, and on it goes. Lots of friends and family and connections through the sport community in general. So it's been really good.
Excellent. This isn't your first games, right? Your first one in my notes says 1977. Can you tell us about your experience there?
Well, I don't want to give my age away too much, but 1977, I was a very young teenager. I was selling souvenirs in the old athletics or track and field complex next to where you are there, back when it was still an athletics track and field complex. So that was my first exposure to the games. And I've been to 13 games altogether in various capacities, including at the last games in 2023 as chef de mission. So that was a real privilege, and I know Karen is well aware of that role as well.
Mm. As a young person in 70, well, first of all, what souvenirs were you selling in 77?
Boy, I think there were the traditional buttons.
Yeah.
You don't see too much of anymore, but the buttons and pins, and I guess there were T-shirts and hats and those kinds of things. Yeah.
So looking back at that start, right, selling your typical merch at a games, and then having gone to 13, and your involvement now, and also having been a chef before, how has all this shaped your life?
Well, I think the connection through games, and I think for those of you who've been in games, involved with games before, you really begin to understand that it creates a family because people involved in sport and anybody that's a part of an organization would know the kind of camaraderie that's generated. But the connection, and not only here in the province through the sport community, but right across the country when you're at a multi-sport event, both summer and winter games, it's just the people really make it.
Mm. Yeah, I'm just thinking of all the folks you must have met over the years at these games right across the country. I mean, it's fantastic. It's also, it's Volunteer Week, right? You're Volunteer Week ambassador for the province, is it?
Well, I was last year.
Or last year, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. But I think what I realized more than anything, Adam, is, I've been involved with the games in various capacities, but never really understood what it was to host the games. The infrastructure and the committees that are required to pull the games together.
Yeah. And
when Karen and Karl and Kim had approached me about this role, having been involved in games for as long as I have, I really didn't understand the hosting aspect.
Right.
But of course now I've got a much better idea, and I'll tell you, it's quite a monumental task with the number of areas that need to be addressed. I know Karen hit on them earlier, but just things like getting the venues ready, food, medical, ticketing and merchandise, technology, transportation, all those things. When I've been to games before, you sort of accept those, and they're there, and you use their services. But the type of work and effort that goes in behind the scenes, as Karl made mention earlier, is quite remarkable. And the Canada Games Council have it figured out. You know, they've done this thing since 1967, and they've got a pretty good formula in place. So it makes our job much easier.
So then 100 days from now, what's the feeling that Tom Godden wants to have as things kick off and everyone is here? Like, what are you hoping for, feeling inside, and as you look around and see all the volunteers and all the work kind of functioning as it is being planned for?
Well, the thing I look forward to most at every game, this one, of course, with no exception, is when the athletes arrive. And the look on their faces when they get off the flights and they enter the airport and get into the village. I mean, for most of these, it'll be their first experience ever at a multi-sport event. So, you know, being in the village with athletes from other sports, from other provinces and territories, it's that excitement and anticipation that is really palpable for those of us who sort of stand in the background and sort of see it all happen. But it's the excitement. It's the number of people that will be here, apart from the athletes who are supporting the athletes and their parents and families. They'll all be here, and there will be, as Karl said earlier, an excitement in the air that will be truly remarkable.
And the last question for you, Tom, when when the games are done, we've already kind of touched on this in the conversation, but when I think legacy, what do you see as the people legacy and the benefit for Canada to have games like this and to welcome folks like we do?
Well, I think that from the people perspective, I know we've already talked about the facilities, but the people perspective, the amount of experience, the 5,000 volunteers, yes, we get them recruited and they sign up for their various areas of interest where they want to be involved in the games. But there's a significant training component for every volunteer, whether it's you're providing security at a gate or taking tickets at a gate, or whether you're providing minor officiating at some of the venues. There's training that's involved, and that's the legacy that will be important for our community and the province as a whole. Because when we go to host other national type events, we will have a bank of very qualified, experienced volunteers that will be make hosting these events a lot easier in the future.
Tom Godden, thanks so much for this. I'm sure I'll see you once sometime once 100 days is up and the games kick off in and around here for CBC. So thank you so much.
I hope so. Okay, thanks, and see you, Karen and Karl.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom Godden there, here with me in studio. Karen Sherriffs, CEO of the 2025 Canada Games. Karl Smith, who is the co-chair. I've often looked at the Aqua Arena, right? Just because it's there next to where I work, and I've thought about 77. I've thought about that physical, like the infrastructure legacies that are provided. But the more, like having done the show last summer, doing this show, the more I've talked with folks attached to the games, I'm thinking so much about the people legacy and what Tom just mentioned there, and what gets built and what that means for especially in a time when we talk about. Across the province, there are places where, we're looking for volunteers, right? Trying to get people and to get them trained, like interested, involved, trained, and what that can mean for years, right? Decades to come. It is quite the thing to think about.
It really is. And, it's quite a process to do Tom alluded to that. Our volunteer team has been extremely busy. They have been out presenting, meeting with groups. We have our volunteer center at 260 Waterford Bridge Road. It's a real hub of activity, not just with our staff. We have some key volunteers there every single day with our staff team helping get people registered. But it's really significant, the roles that people are currently playing, the roles that people will play games time, 31,000 hours of shifts with 150 different roles. There really is a role for everybody. So it's something to really be part of. The volunteers are truly the heartbeat of the games. They will welcome people to every venue. If you talk to athletes who've left games, most will talk about the volunteers and the experience at the volunteers, how they enhance their experience at the games. And I think with our renowned hospitality and friendly spirit, I think they will leave here with the same sentiments as past games.
Go ahead.
The games will leave behind a huge amount of community pride as well, and community capability. And not that we suffer from a lack of pride here, but this is a big, big deal that most people who are living here now have not experienced. 77 was a long time ago. Some people remember that, but most people in this city just can't remember it. They hear some of the stories today, but this will last a long time in people's memories, and I think it'll afford the community an opportunity to do a lot of other things on a national scale that probably we haven't been confident enough to do.
It's been an interesting few years, right? You've had us working through a pandemic as this has been, like, the building around this has happened. Now we're in a time of, like, tariff threats and uncertainty and all this stuff. But this summer, really, what do you think about the timing and the importance of the timing for this to happen this summer with everything going on in the world? Because I even said yesterday in the meeting about because like yesterday was a post-election show. We're talking about global leadership and all this stuff. And I was like, tomorrow we're talking the Canada Games. And I'm just really excited to talk about sports and people's stories and a completely different topic. And this is just coming from me in a CBC News meeting when we talk about shows. But what do you both think about this?
It will be a great distraction, I guess, in a certain sense. But regardless of what was going on, if times were just rocking and rolling and everything was great, it would still be as spectacular as it will be now. So I hear what you're saying, and I joked with somebody yesterday. It's going to be great because all the people in Canada who would have thought about going south this summer will now come here instead. So,
yeah, quite the advertisement, right?
Yeah, so timing may be a positive factor for us, but it's one of those things that, is completely outside of your control. You don't think about it much. But to your point, I mean, our application and our process for being interviewed about the games took place online because we could not get together in the same room. And so right out of the gate, there was a uniqueness and an extra layer of challenge associated with, starting this off. And it was kind of unique in that regard.
Were there any, doubts? Like, I remember doing a story wondering, because there were questions around, can we get everything up to snuff and built in time for the games? And according to what you folks are saying, all the facilities are good or will be good to go. We're pretty much there. Any doubts in this process at all?
There's nobody in this group that lacks confidence, I'll tell you
No,
that
I've
right
sensed
now.
that.
No, I think we also, Karl alluded to, the team at Greenbelt, the volunteer team who worked very closely with us and the city and others to ensure that, that venue could get improved and, get to the standard that was required to host the games. I think there's an inherent excitement about the games, and every contractor that's working on different pieces of the 25 capital projects are, excited. They know what's to come. They know what's on the line in terms of being able to host this and be games ready. And I think that's been a great thing to see as well, is that there's a lot of people behind this who are excited and have put their work and, their touch on various things happening with the games. And so
For a bit of pride too, right? If you're doing that building. I mean, that's something to be real proud of.
Absolutely. Today as we unveil our medals, exciting, and the artist who did that. And one of her great things is she can't believe she will be part of history for ever to come, and athletes will wear what she designed. And what a great, amazing feeling. But outside the venues, inside the venues, the equipment that will be left behind and the legacy pieces around that. And we're constantly, that's every single day for us now. What will get left in community? What could other groups need? Not just sport venues, but across the communities, small organizations, what can we leave them to better their organizations as well?
You're listening to The Signal, folks. We're talking about 100 days out from the Canada Games, host city St. John's, right? If you got questions about the games, or if you've got a memory or experience you want to share from a previous Canada Games, give us a call, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. You can text us, 709-327-8206, The Signal at cbc.ca. Joining us on the line now, we've got Jaida Lee. Hi, Jaida. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So you had quite the Canada Games experience for baseball in 2022. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, no, I was part of the Newfoundland team and the first female to play on the men's team. So my experience was a little bit different than most at Canada Games. Super fun, but I ended up dorming with the women. So I was with a few basketball and a few swimmers, also from Newfoundland. So it was a little bit different that way because I wasn't dormed with my team. But the experience was amazing. I met people from all around Canada that I still talk to now and still see when I'm traveling. So yeah, the experience was great.
And your uniform and ball, what happened with that from the last Canada Games?
They're in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in St. Mary's.
So yeah, that I think is also a little distinction to mention because when I knew you were coming on the show, and I knew about you anyways, but I was like double checking my notes. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I remember those stories. What was that like? What's it like to have that happen to you?
It's kind of crazy to think about. I never really thought about it in the moment. I think that a lot was happening, so I was kind of overwhelmed and like dissociated.
Yeah.
But looking back at it now and like looking at pictures and videos and stuff, it's really cool to think about that I can bring my kids there or something when I'm older and show them that. And no, it's really cool to look at.
And there's a change this time for the games, right? Because last time, like you said, you're dormant, you're out with a basketball team, and then you're playing on the men's team. I know you're not playing this time around, but what's the difference for this games that's coming up for baseball?
Yeah, the first time women's baseball is going to be in it. I'm super excited to see that. I'll be home. I have nationals in Quebec, so I'm missing some of the men's games, but I will be home for the women's, and that'll be super cool to see just how they compete and everything.
Yeah, because I remember you seeing some quote from you last time talking about, I hope to see at some point, women's baseball at the Canada Games. What does it mean to you to have your experience last time and to look and to know that there's going to be women's baseball making its debut in 2025 in St. John's?
Yeah, like I like to think that I had some part in pushing that, but it's just really cool to see the progression that's happening for women's sports in general. You see it in a bunch of different sports, but baseball seems to be a little bit behind right now, but that's a really good step forward for women's baseball, especially in Canada. I'm really excited just to see how it plays out, how many teams are competitive and what the games look like in terms of skill and competing and everything. So I'm super excited to see that. But no, when I saw that it was announced that there was women's baseball, I was very excited to see how that plays out.
What impact has baseball or just being involved in sport like this had on you in your life, in life direction?
Honestly, it's kind of shaped most of my life, sport in general. That's where I met all my friends. It's where I learned a bunch of different things. I spent more time at sports than I did at my house. So honestly, it's pretty much shaped who I am as a person. And it's made all my connections are through friends through sport. So it's honestly probably the biggest part of my life and has had the biggest impact over anything on my life.
So what advice you got now for the team as they get ready to play for the summer? From a seasoned veteran like yourself, someone who's been to the Canada Games, pitched at such a high level, what advice for first-timers who are about to go out and give it their all?
I would say the games are pretty stressful. It's all built up, and then you only have 1 week to compete. But take everything in, have fun throughout the week, throughout the games, leading up to it, training with your team, because you only get one time to play at the Canada Games, and then you're aged out. So really take it in and just have fun.
Thanks so much for this. I hope to see you around now this summer, and good luck with everything in the lead up for your own baseball that you're still playing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, cheers, Jaida.
Yeah.
Jaida Lee there, baseball athlete. Canada Games experience, Niagara 2022, as mentioned. the ball she pitched in uniform in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. She was the first ever female to play in men's baseball at the Canada Games. What do you both think about? I mean, it's such an amazing story. Jade is such an amazing athlete.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
And both Karen and I were at the field when she pitched her first pitch, and I still get goosebumps thinking about it. It was surreal. It
was a strike, too.
It was a strike, too. That's absolutely right. And she had her own fan club. There were 10-year-old girls with placards saying, "I want to be Jaida when I grow up." It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was an amazing moment.
She handled that with like a pro, really. I mean, to watch her in action, how graceful, humble she was during that experience. And she was the hype and talk of the 22 Canada Games. And I really think she's instrumental in that female baseball for the first time ever is in 2025 Canada Games. And it was a real pleasure and honor to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about when we talk about trailblazers, right? She's now part of that. She's part of that conversation for sport, for women's sport, and what it means, and to look at this summer and to sit down and watch women's baseball and to think about Jada's part of it. I mean, that's quite something.
And that's what the Canada Games are all about. You know, when you people ask us, you know, why do you get involved? It's to provide the opportunity for moments like that. You know, these are defining moments for young people, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I always find someone like with Jaida Lee or others, you can be so impressed by whether it's the handling pressure, the poise, you name it. When you see these athletes come out, and I always wonder as I'm getting older and older each year, I'm like, it is just so impressive. Like, how do you handle it? And that it's part of, I think, something as well that makes it so enjoyable to watch, and how folks from across the country perform at this. Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm. And Jada's story is an amazing story. And just think about all the stories of the games and the individual stories, the team stories. There are so many that really help shape and form the excitement and the success of games.
So then from the previous ones you've been involved with, what have you, when it comes to athletes and athlete stories, what are the types of things that you just come across stuff by accident? Do you search out stuff? Like, how do you kind of go and just enjoy and take in everything yourselves from being part of these games?
Yeah, I think the stories kind of organically form, and they really vary. You have some athletes, pin trading. Let me tell you, it's really the unofficial sport of the games. It is something to watch, and some of these athletes get not just athletes, adults, spectators, officials, coaches are really get into this, and it's quite interesting to watch them do that. But, those stories about how people actually got to where they have, whether they ever make it to the podium or not, their finishes, personal bests, it just really is quite significant. Some, not many, but you will see some athletes participate in week one and participate in a different, sport in week two, and really unique. Imagine training like that for two sports. And so, you walk around every venue and you will see things happening in front of you, evolving, and conversations with coaches and athletes, teams cheering other teams on from different sports. And that's really the power of a multi-game sports event like the Canada Games.
The energy is really hard to describe. You had to experience it in order to appreciate it. I mean, I think back to the PEI Winter Games and that young wrestler from Nunavut, I think it was, the first medal ever for that territory, and the place was going nuts.
Yeah.
Everybody was behind this young man. It was amazing.
Yeah. There was just crowds of people who would normally not be there, but there was such hype made, and to witness that, and I'm again was able to, Karl and I were able to see Jaida Lee, to be able to see this young wrestler and what it's done for his life, and not even from our home province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
You're cheering, right?
We're cheering.
You're like, this is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And you know what it means in this case to a territory and folks in the communities there, right?
Yeah.
And to be part of it. I always find, whenever it's like the Olympics, I find I'm watching some sport I know very little about, and I can get really into it. So I'm excited to see that here in person for the different sports, and to watch and to learn and to see how the athletes perform, and to hear those stories, right? The firsts or the personal bests or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. And don't get us wrong, the competition is fierce.
Yeah.
But it's supportive at the same time. Everybody wants everybody else to be their best and do their best. Someone has to win. Someone's going to get those beautiful medals that we talked about earlier. But it's a very unique environment, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I always tell people, don't just get the week pass for one specific sport that, you always can watch and see. Go out and see the other sports, beach volleyball, a really fun, energetic venue. Box lacrosse will be here. That was something in 22. Let me tell you how, it is just something to watch that.
Describe this for me.
Box lacrosse. Yeah. It'll be at the double ice rink in Paradise. What all these skaters and hockey players right now skate on will transform into a turf facility.
Yeah.
And it's, a little bit like hockey without the ice, and a little bit different, but
high intensity.
Very, very high intensity. I'm not sure how they call penalties, but it's,
or if they exist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. We did a trial run with the turf there back in the fall, and let me tell you, you talk about a venue transforming. That will be a venue. We have our canoe kayak course race designers here this week for the next week or two to put the course into Kitty Lake and get that ready. That's another really exciting sport, and Kitty will be a real hub of activity down there. So check out canoe kayak, take in a soccer game at King George or a softball game down at Caribou Complex. So a lot happening in one really close area.
Being a cyclist, I had to put in a word for the criterium, which is a very short course road race in downtown St. John's on Water Street and the waterfront, and they'll do laps and laps of that. And you can just imagine. People are familiar with the pedestrian mall. It'll be the pedestrian mall times 100, and the excitement around that is just going to be insane.
So through downtown St. That's wild.
Oh yeah.
Fast speeds.
Yeah.
Very tight packs of cyclists.
Lots of personnel with bandages and gauze, I guess, just waiting on the sidelines.
There will be.
Move any crashes quickly, and
oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's normally it's never done in a populated area like that. It's so it's really giving you the Tour de France type of idea, but just it'll be really exciting to see that event as well.
You mentioned the switchover thing. Can I get some more details on that? Like, what? How does that work?
It's called Turnaround Day.
Sorry, Turnaround Day.
Turnaround Day.
Not Switchover Day. Adam.
Yeah, Turnaround Day. So I think I've said many times, we're planning all these venues.
Yeah.
Venue ready, August 8th when all the athletes start arriving. And then we really have 24 hours to switch 2,500 beds around, change venues from a basketball venue to a volleyball venue, wrestling, venues. Every venue will then be transformed for what's being used for week 2.
So like all this planning, and you've had all this lead in time for week 1. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, everyone, switch everything in 24 hours.
Yeah, and we will be ready to switch. Things will be moving from a venue as things are moving out of a venue into a venue. It's many hands make light work. So anyone like to make some beds on Turnaround Day, we will certainly welcome the help.
Yeah, because you said we have like 2,500
100
beds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of beds.
Previous week 1 beds are out, linens and all new, and restocking food-wise, everything. So,
Adam, you look like you could make a wicket bed.
See, this is like... Here's the thing. I learned in the Navy how to do it, and it was like, and then I've been trying to pretend I don't do it well for my whole life for moments like this. But yes, I do actually know how to make when I have to, I can. So I'll be trying to avoid both of you during the games.
we will find you.
You know where I work now.
They found myself and Vanessa McVeigh in 22, and we made with the team, I think, 900 beds for about 9 hours.
You doing the hospital corners and everything, or what?
Not quite, but
okay.
yeah.
All right, I'll stop talking about my bed making proficiency here on the air now. Getting back to the lead up and looking, we only have 10 minutes left to the show. What are some of the other things that we can expect? Because, I mean, we talked about this afternoon, and then so there's 100-day, but what's another marker? What other markers are coming up that we can expect?
Well, you may want to talk about the torch relay.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, of course, the torch.
Yeah.
The torch.
It's June 11th it leaves, right?
June 11th, we'll be in Ottawa on Parliament Hill, where the torch will be lit. It's the Orange Door Torch Relay, and it'll be making its ride over on the Marine Atlantic Ferry from Cape Breton to Port aux Basques. And we have 15 location stops along the route, including Labrador. And we had over 600 people nominated to be torch bearers, and 120 have been selected.
120 torch bearers for Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah.
What's the criteria to be a torch bearer?
Really, the criteria is, and people were nominated, a very hard process for the committee.
Yeah.
People who really give back to their communities may have been involved in sport, or not just sport, but just how they volunteer, they interact within their own communities. So many stories of people who are very, very deserving of this opportunity, and we have a lot of very active people in our province giving back.
Mm-hmm. This is that theme about community and community building, right? That I feel from, because we talked about, infrastructure. So from 77 with the Aqua Arena, the refurb, the new things, beach volleyball, all this stuff. Then volunteers, we're getting them trained up and everything. Oh, and the torch, right? And what's the criteria? People who really give and care about community, and all of them are going to run the torch around.
Yeah.
Like that together in that package, I mean, when I think legacy, there's a lot there to think about and impact and what it does for a province or a city area in Canada each time you have one of these.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really big determinant of the torch, is how do we involve the rest of the province within that scope of it. And this was a great way to do that. And working so closely with the team at North Atlantic and the Orange Door to help look at the route and, how do we continue to work with Labrador and keep them involved. And so it's really key. I think we are powered by doing this every day because of the legacy and impact it does have, not just here in St. John's, Mount Pearl, CBS, Paradise, Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove, where events will happen, but across the province, we just had the Catch the Spirit program. Mm-hmm. We had almost, I think we're over 5,000 students now. It was delivered in many schools. Greg Woolgar is heading to Labrador to meet, deliver the program in a couple schools up there. And that's been available for everybody across the country who'd like to avail of that program. So just how we can, touch on that. Our mascot was designed by a 10-year-old boy from St. Bernard's Elementary. And, look at Gusty is really everywhere.
Yes, Gusty is. I feel like anytime I look over my shoulder, there's Gusty.
What a great mascot.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
And, Karen touched on it, but this is just not the St. John's games. I mean, it really is the Newfoundland games. And we've got people volunteering from all across the province, and Labrador included. And so it's been fabulous from that point of view.
Yeah, it's a full province-wide push, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Like when the first call went out for volunteers, I couldn't go anywhere in the city without somebody saying, I want to volunteer. How do I volunteer? And there was an outpouring. And it came up earlier. We're at around 4,000 right now. We want to get 5,000. Sounds like a lot left, but if you think about it, we're 100 days out. We need 10 volunteers a day. That's all we need, and we have what we'll need to conduct a game. So for any listeners out there listening, please consider being one of those 10 volunteers each day that we're looking for.
Yeah, and then if they do want to get in touch, what's the best way to get in touch for volunteering?
So the best way is, one, if you really like that in-person consultation, help getting through the registration, stop by the Volunteer Centre at 260 Waterford Bridge Road. Our website, www.2025canadagames.ca, has all the information. You can register right from there. We are the first games to have an app powered by BMO, and The app is really your spot to go for everything you need for games. Again, you can go on there and register to be a volunteer right through the app. Download that. That has schedules. It will have all the updates, information, if there's a change in the schedule. Lots of fun interactions. There's currently a 100 Days Out big game happening with amazing prizes. So lots of places for people. But we really do have a team of people at the Volunteer Center who can answer all your questions, can walk you through the whole registration process.
Got a note here from former colleague of mine, media colleague, Joe Gibbons. Enjoying the show, Adam, with Karen and Karl. Had the pleasure of covering the Canada Games for the Telegram in Bathurst, Campbellton, New Brunswick, 03, Regina, Saskatchewan, 05, and Whitehorse, Yukon, 07. Great experiences indeed. Best of luck to all for a great, successful games in August. Definitely going to miss it. Joe, thank you for the note. And yes, you're missed around on the circuit. Thanks for this. Because on our side, right, the media side, the thing that I know, and not to speak for Joe, but I to go to these things and to see the stories and to help tell the stories and to be part of that conversation, it is really quite something and a special thing. So this is something I'm really looking forward to, having this show live on location through the games, meeting from folks just watching to athletes to everyone else. It is going to be quite the exciting time this summer.
Yeah. Goosebumps forming again.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why we've been saying from the outset, and I'll finish on this note, best games ever. St. John's, Newfoundland.
Best games ever.
2025.
And kind of big, is it the big? Are these the biggest ones?
Largest ever Canada Games.
Best, biggest. We just need a third B.
And don't miss out. Our tickets are on sale now, so
Yeah.
there's lots of opportunity to be part of this. And at 50 days, I know we're at 100, but we'll launch our whole artistic festival program.
So what does that mean? We still have like 2 minutes left. What the artistic festival program? What is that?
So not just the 19 sports that you get to watch all the action there. There's a significant cultural program. You will see everything from artists, musicians, quilters, you name it. There will be something every single day in terms of music, concerts available, experiences available. We will have a artistic hub, festival hub down at the convention center and for the whole time. But we'll be at the pedestrian mall. We'll be at all of the communities are doing different events. So
this gives the full Newfoundland and Labrador experience,
Absolutely.
right? When folks come here, it's like it's all of it. When they leave, they will have been like, oh, I think we celebrated the games, but we also kind of understand the place.
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which is massively, massively important.
It's a great integration, lots of fun things for people to do.
And what's the estimated value of the game? Because the economic spin-off from this, roughly.
$125 million in that order of magnitude.
$125 million.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to introduce people to Newfoundland who have not been here before and will definitely want to come back again. So it's going to have a long tail.
Yeah, because I was thinking about for the spectators, right? If you're coming in, and then for the restaurants, and then the tours, the tour boat operators, all of that, we'll see the big uptick on top of like the regular tourism season, anyways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every spectator will be looking for something to do in between watching and cheering on their athletes.
So when I let you both go now, you headed down to the thing for this afternoon right away?
We are.
Yes.
All
One
right.
more stop and then
One more stop, and then you're done. Thanks for this. I appreciate the chat, and I know I'll be seeing you both again because we're 100 days and counting, and there's a lot more to talk about, and then the games are here, and that's going to be quite the time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having us
Thanks
today.
very much, Adam.
All right. Folks, that is it for today's show. If you've got thoughts for us, get in touch. The Signal at cbc.ca. You can call the Signal line and leave a message, 709-576-5260. We are hitting the road. The Signal team, we're heading out. Gander, you're on notice. Gander, we're driving to Gander right now in about 15 minutes because tomorrow on the show, we will be live from the 2025 Municipal Symposium. You will hear from municipal leaders from right across the province. Everything from issues their communities are facing to things folks just want to brag about in their communities. That's the range for tomorrow. Don't miss the show. As always, thank you for listening.